Welcome to Gridiron Gamblers right here on Pub Sports Radio, coming off a nice, juicy, big winning week that I needed badly. And all the leans cashed too. It could have been absolutely glorious. It was still good. My man, Andy, coming off a second consecutive winning week as well.
Yes.
We are building momentum when we need it the most. How are you, my friend?
Very good. And yeah, it felt really good, especially that I think I had 3 bets on the 4 games in the afternoon late game window. Awesome that everything just shook out my way there. It's been a while since early in the season that I had a nice week that everything just shook out in one of the windows. It's usually just a goddamn grind the whole time. But yeah, feeling good, ready to go, and ready to dive into week 9, Jimmy.
Yes, let's dive into week 9. Thank you all so much for joining us. On our Tuesday night show, I went 5-1 with the moves I made on it. I was with you on Denver, Jacksonville under 39.5. And that was a nice casher, which didn't look like it was going to cash off the top, but it was a nice casher. We had different looks here. You got Commanders +3, 49ers -1. Those were both beautiful. Cardinals +3.5, and Raiders, New Orleans over 49.5 hurt. So I went 5-1 with my Tuesday action. After doing the Cappers contest show on Thursday, I moved on 2 losers, the Buccaneers -2 and the Raiders -1.5. I got that money back on Sunday after our NFL Pub Hub by cashing on Dallas Cowboys -9.5 and the Patriots -3. It feels good. It feels good. We're building momentum, and it feels good. Shout out to all the cappers joining us. We got Sky Dragon in the house. He says, I remember a time when everyone had so many negative things to say about my boy Pete Carroll. When is he going to get his damn respect? You are right. This Seahawks team has surprised me. I was on them first half. I wanted to double up so bad. I was on them first half. They look really good. My studio foam is falling off the walls, but I'll stay focused here. Mac Beaver says, yes, Pete, definitely coach of the year candidate, doing the most with the least. There's Alex Ramirez, Terry Walker, AJ 1337, Harold Williams, Birdie, Don Play. It is a great group. Let's get right to work. Let's not waste any time. Let's attack this board. We have a the second biggest spread of the year for the Thursday nighter, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Philadelphia Eagles 7-0, 3-0 on the road at the Houston Texans, 1-5-1, 0-2-1 at home. We're at Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Pinnacle opened this up at 13 and moved to 13.5. Now it is at 14. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 43. We're all the way up to 45 right now. 45. Move over to the cash flow here. We have 12,332 tickets in, 84% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on the Eagles, 25% of the tickets, 71% cash on the under, but we see this moving towards the over, market moving it up to 45. And I will, Dan Kelly, I promise you, I will definitely check that out. Being a stressful little while here, but I will definitely get a chance to look at that. I did not move on the Eagles first half -6. I had planned to do it. I just was afraid to go up against the Sharps on the Steelers. Maybe I should have no fear here because the Sharps certainly are not on the Texans. 13 points on the road these Eagles are laying. Coming off another dominant win, 35-13 at home over the Steelers. 7-0 for just the second time in franchise history. Last time was 2004 when they went to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, 19-28 for 285 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. All 4 touchdown passes were 25-plus yards. The only player with more than 4 touchdown passes of 25-plus yards in a single game since 1980 is Dan Marino, 1994. A.J. Brown with a monster. 6 catches, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns, all came in the first half. He's the first receiver since Drew Bennett in 2004 with 3 receiving touchdowns and 25-plus yards in the first half. He only had 2 touchdowns entering the game. Miles Sanders, 9 carries for 78 yards. Philly is the best first-half team in the league. They're averaging 21 points per first half. Their first-half DVOA is the best in the NFC. They run the second fastest pace per play in the first half, 26.05 seconds. They've struggled a little bit in the second half. Not struggled. I mean, this is a perfect football team at this point. but 49 points in second halves compared to 147 in the first. That DVOA goes down to 13th in the second half. Their defense was excellent last week. 6 sacks, 11 quarterback hits. Gardner Johnson had an interception. The Eagles are a healthy group. Defensive tackle Jordan Davis suffered an ankle injury, but this is a healthy group. Texans come in off a 17-10 home loss to Tennessee. The Texans have the worst run defense in the league, and they could do nothing against the Titans. Titans put up 314 yards on the ground. Derrick Henry, 32 carries for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. Davis Mills has been pressured on 26.4% of his dropbacks. That's the 6th highest pressure rate for quarterbacks. He finished 17 of 29 for 152 yards, touchdown, and an interception. Brandon Cooks caught 4 passes for 73 yards. Damian Pierce ran 15 times for 35 yards. The offense had just 161 total yards, and we're 2 of 14 on third down. 2 of 14. 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. This run defense is allowing 6.3 yards per carry over the last 3 games. That's last in run defense DVOA. This team is bad, and the market moving towards the Eagles. Are you also going to be on the Eagles? What is your plan of attack here, Andy?
I've just never been in the business of laying the big favorites. Even in a game where you saw Green Bay do practically nothing, they covered because teams don't give they don't give a rat's patoot about winning by margin. They just want to win, especially teams, and maybe the Philadelphia Eagles are in a different spot. We do the NBA comparison all the time where it's like, hey, the Warriors, the Bucks, some of these teams that have been to the finals over and over, have some championships. They don't take the regular season seriously. You start to see that a little in the NFL with like even the Chiefs, where it's like, all right, they just want to get to the playoffs and get moving. The regular season, they're not going to take some of these games too seriously. I mean, they still take them seriously, but they're not out there putting their whole game plan on film. They want to just get through the season healthy and get to the playoffs. Eagles haven't had that sort of success, at least not with this iteration. It's been a while since that Super Bowl win. This is a totally different team, different coaching staff. So maybe they still have a little that killer instinct on these regular season games. But boy, howdy. Like their second half, they have just taken the foot off the gas in the second half. Like you said, scoring about a third of the point. So if you were going to bet this, I guess first half team total over, first half over. I'm staying clear away from this. I'm going to look for some first touchdown scores, and a lot of them are going to be Philadelphia Eagles, to tell you the truth, because this is a really big mismatch. Even in that game that, they scored 10 points, but did the Texans really score 10 points? They essentially scored 3. That was a garbage touchdown. That was a, almost near meaningless touchdown at the end. The Titans playing with a backup quarterback who, he threw for like 55 yards and still they couldn't muster anything towards, even being competitive at home. This might be best team, worst team. It's still a lot of points. I'm not interested in laying this many points just based on how the Eagles have played in the second half. But if you want me to bet money on the Houston Texans, you're going to have to give me money. And you'll have to hand me the money and say you can only have this if you're betting it on the Texans. So this is a hard no thanks. Props live. Have some fun with the game. And I don't know, cheer for your Sirianni Coach of the Year tickets. Cheer for your Jalen Hurts Offensive Player of the Year tickets. Whatever you bet, Philadelphia Eagles. I have some Philly best record and Philly top seed. Just some small ticklers from preseason. So hopefully they just keep winning. Yeah, Eagles money line, Jimmy. Should we just get weird with it? Cliff, they call that bridge jumping. You just put your whole account on Eagles money line. Don't do that.
Birdie is on the first half over 21. Nice job getting the 21 up to 22.5 at most spots. Sky Dragon says, why are people betting the over? Have they seen this Houston offense? It's pathetic.
It's bad. And this is and the Titans pass rush has come around, but the Eagles defense is better. Like the Houston may not score in the first, like that would be the both teams to score no first half. It feels like that first half over. You're going to need the Houston Texans to stumble their way into a turnover on the right side of the field and kick a field goal. 21-3 sounds like a pretty common first half score. So maybe some Eagles first half, but
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't get weird with it.
I do not know how to make money off of this game at this point. I do not find the Eagles appealing as this big of a favorite on the road. It's just not something that I would like to be a part of. But I imagine that they'll cover it, and I imagine that the people who got in at 13 feel good that it's gone to 14. And how many points are we going to get from the Texans? And do the Eagles care? Are they going to care in the second half? I think that this under would be. Now, I'm not going to move on the under when I see it going from 43.5 to 45, but it is my first inclination would be to take. Maybe it's a live under like we did in the Packers-Bills game.
Yeah. I can see that live under, second half under, but for now, this is a no move. No move is the move.
Yeah, I agree. That is the Thursday nighter. I apologize that we don't have action here, but 13-point spread on a road team, second biggest spread of the year, is not very appealing. Let's move on to Sunday, November 6th action. We start 1 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Chargers, 4-3, 2-1 on the road at the Atlanta Falcons, 4-4, 3-1 at home at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll start with the line history in this one. We have these Chargers opening up as -3 road favorites. They opened up at -3 at -102. They're now -3 at -115. Curious to see what they've done here. Bet365. Those are pinnacle openers. -3 at -120 at Bet365. From a total perspective, it opened up at 49 at a pick'em. It's now 49 -115 to the over. See if they've moved at 49.5 here. They have not. I think that over does make sense. Let's see where the cash lies here. Again, I've not moved on anything pre-show, which is what I've been doing. 6,922 tickets in, 55% of the tickets, 88% of the cash on the Chargers. Then you have 91% of tickets, 98% of cash. If that's the case, I don't know why the total isn't moving. Chargers come in fresh off of their bye week. They were last seen an ugly 37-23 loss at home to Seattle in week 7, down 17-0 after the first quarter. Kenneth Walker gashed them for 167 yards. The Chargers themselves could do nothing on the ground. They finished with 53 yards on 15 carries. Austin Eckler did have 2 touchdowns. He has 8 over his last 3 games. The defense couldn't get stopped. The Seahawks finished 5 of 9 on third down, put up 6.4 yards per play. This defense is ranked 31st in the league, allowing 27 points per game. And they have more injuries. They lost cornerback J.C. Jackson for the season with a dislocated knee. Michael Davis will step in as the starter on the outside. They lose receiver Mike Williams to a high ankle sprain. He'll be out for 4 weeks. The hope is that Keenan Allen is going to be a full go on Sunday, but he's got this nagging hamstring injury. Joshua Palmer also missed week 7 with a concussion. He's expected to be back in the lineup. Joey Bosa got hurt in week 3. Rashawn Slater tore his left bicep. They're both on the IR. Then all-pro center Corey Linsley's missed 3 games because of knee issues. Dustin Hopkins is out 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring strain, their kicker. So Bosa is expected to come back at some point this year. And Khalil Mack has 6 sacks. He's trying to hold his own without him. The Chargers are allowing 5.7 yards per carry. That's the worst in the league. The Browns put up 213 yards against them. So did the Seahawks. We know what this Falcons team can do on the ground. They have the 4th most rushing yards in the NFL. So, and you might be thinking about Cordell Patterson's out. They're still moving the ball with Huntley and Algier. They're coming off a wild 37-34 overtime win at home over Carolina. Mariota 20 of 28 for 253 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kyle Pitts caught 5 passes for 80 yards and a touchdown. Damiere Byrd caught 3 for 67 touchdown. Huntley 16 carries for 91 yards. Algier ran 14 for 39, caught 3 for 46. Their defense looked awful. That banged up secondary. So A.J. Terrell, Jalen Hawkins, Casey Hayward, all dealing with injuries. And everybody was wondering if they would make a move at the deadline here today. DJ Moore, 62-yard touchdown pass with 12 seconds left, but he took his helmet off in celebration, 15-yard penalty. Then Pinheiro pulled it left, and then another chance in 32-yard field goal. He missed that too. This defense looked awful. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. Lorenzo Carter did return an interception 20 yards to the house, but why wouldn't we be on the Chargers and the over? And why aren't they moving it off of the number 49? Take it away for us because I'm very interested in moving on this game. And the Chargers.
Oh, you wise asses in the chat. It'll be funny when there are 66 points and we can laugh at that typo. But yeah, it is 40, 49, 49 and a half. And I kind of like this over. I'm waiting. There's some injury, like somebody has mentioned, there's chances we might see some of this Atlanta secondary return. And it's one of those things where, yeah, the Chargers are a team. They're like that. Oh, there's a tennis ball. I won't even do the tennis analogy, but Chargers are kind of a team where if they play a team well below their standards, they're going to look good. Justin Herbert's going to look like he's looked. The defense, even with some of the injuries, is going to look okay. Maybe not against the run, but this is a spot where all of their weaknesses aren't going to be exposed quite as much. It's a bad offensive line. It's had some injuries, but the Falcons' pass rush is quite weak. It's going to be hard to expose that. It's a team who's had injuries to two of their star receivers, can't seem to get any separation, can't get guys open, and it's a secondary that's beat up. And yeah, I'm seeing some mentions of the trade from Kansas City. That was a cornerback who was falling behind the rookies. I don't know if it's like a desperation move for Atlanta. They needed just a warm body, I think, but he wasn't playing very well in Kansas City. That was the reason they got rid of him, looking for a new start down in Atlanta. So this is one I haven't bet yet, but I am looking at this over 49 and a half, waiting for injury news. Obviously, it'd be great to get Keenan Allen back. That would be a big deal for this. And it would be awesome if the injury news trended poorly for the Falcons secondary. So holding off on this for now, but hard lean towards this over. This is more of I need some Wednesday afternoon injury reports.
Yeah, I'm confused if everything is pointing to the over. I don't know why they're just sitting here on the 49. It's a surprise for me, but it does make sense. It does make sense. Do you think that I find it very difficult to back the Chargers here, even though my plan coming into this was that I would like to move on the Chargers. But now that we talk it out, they're just hammered with injuries, and they're coming back from the bye. And who's coming back? I mean, we'll find out about Keenan and Palmer, but who's coming back on defense? And then is Corey Linsley capable of playing a full game at all this year with his knee issues?
It's so hard to get involved with the Chargers, but the Falcons defense just gave up a lot of yardage to, PJ Walker and the clown car college backups, what's left of, the Carolina offense with an interim head coach. So you would think coming off extra rest, if they can get anything going on offense, it's going to be a live bet kind of action for me too. There was a couple, like both of those games, the Bears game and then this one, it was like, oh, I'm probably getting involved in some live overs here if nobody's going to do anything to stop anyone else. And honestly, you almost couldn't have taken those too far, although I did see some live over like 74 in the one and didn't quite get there. So looking at the over, waiting for injury news, no move quite yet. I want to bet the Chargers, but I know better, so I won't, even though the steam has come in the market. There was places that had a very, very cheap 3, as cheap as a flat 100, and now that's up to minus 120. I understand the movement. I agree with it to a certain point, but that might not be where I want to be involved. If I think the Chargers are going to score, I might as well take the over, because I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Falcons despite the kind of one-dimensional look the Falcons have decided to become.
Staley defends the deep ball. So with such fervor that the running game is just left so vulnerable. And when he was with the Rams, I mean, it was a totally different situation. You got Aaron Donald up here, but now you have Bosa hurt. You have no help for Khalil Mack. I guess I'm going to do nothing. One thing I just that's been so successful is betting against what we saw last week. We added the Cowboys because we wanted to bet against what we saw from the Bears. Here, the Falcons put up 37 points. They score at will. Their defense looks atrocious. We haven't seen the Chargers since they allowed 37 points. Game makes me a little nervous, but I understand. Why
you can't just go full zigzag on every game. That's never gonna, I understand, like that's some of the reasons I'm willing to look at the Chargers. I think people are down on their offense. But, yeah, it's more of an overlook for me here, too.
Yeah.
And we had, like, Coins pointing out, it doesn't matter if it's 72-0 and they're losing. Atlanta will just run the ball. Like they're very successful.
All right, no action at this point in Chargers.
Yeah, it's a light card for me. I hate to spoil it. I have a couple bets I made, but boy, it's not 6 or 7 like last week.
Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 1 p.m. Eastern. Miami Dolphins 5-3, 2-2 on the road. Chicago Bears 3-5, 2-1 at home. We're at Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. 58 Fahrenheit, sunny, 9 miles per hour. Let's start with the line history here in this one. We have the fish. Sorry, it's going to take a second, I guess, to come up here. I don't know. Here we go. We have the fish opening up as 4-point favorites at Pinnacle. They moved to 4.5, and they are now 5-point favorites on the road. The total opened up at 44. It is now at 45. We'll take a look at the cash flow in this one. We have 7,729 tickets in, 58% of the tickets, 83% of cash on the Dolphins. 82% of tickets, 70% of cash on the over. There's Turnsy in the house. Great to see you. Dolphins made a big splash today. Big splash. Pick up Bradley Chubb from the Broncos for a package that includes Chase Edmonds, the 49ers first-round pick in 2023, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. And the Dolphins also get a 2024 fifth-round pick with Chubb. And they're expected to work out a long-term extension. Chubb, 5.5 sacks in 8 games this year, 5th overall pick in the 2018 draft, be paired with Jalen Phillips. And Miami needs them. This is a team that only has 15 sacks this year. They're 26th in opponent yards per play and 25th in opponent points per play. They also pick up Jeff Wilson from the 49ers for a 5th-round pick. We were wondering if Kareem Hunt would be moved over there, but that didn't happen. They come in off a 31-27 win at Detroit. Tua, 29 of 36 for 382 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He looked very good. Tyreek Hill caught 12 passes for 188 yards. Hill had more than 160 yards receiving for the 4th straight game. That's one short of the NFL record set by Roy Green in 1984. Jalen Waddle, 8 passes for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hill and Waddle have combined for 1,688 yards receiving. That's a Super Bowl-era record for 2 teammates through the first 8 games of the year. Mostert ran 14 times for 64 yards. This defense looked vulnerable. They couldn't get pressure on Goff. Bradley Chubb should help. They finished with 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Detroit scored on all 5 of its possessions in the first half. And they lost their left guard, Liam Eichenberg, to a knee injury, and we don't know the extent of it yet. Skydragon says, how do you not play the over? Birdie says, this has to be an over, doesn't it? I waited because I wanted to hear your and Andy's breakdown with those linebackers now gone and Bears offense seemingly figuring out some stuff on offense. Over seems right. Let's talk about the Bears, who have made some big moves recently. Robert Quinn to the Eagles, Roquan Smith to the Ravens. They'll get a 2nd and 5th-round pick for Smith, a 4th-round pick for Quinn. Then they pick up Chase Claypool from the Steelers for a 2nd-round pick. Coming off a 49-29 loss at Dallas, Fields 17 of 23 for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Ran 8 times for 60 yards. The Bears couldn't get anything through the air. Darnell Mooney, 5 catches for 70 yards, but they ran for 240. Khalil Herbert, 16 carries for 99. Montgomery ran 15 times for 53, caught 3 passes for 22 yards. Also lost a fumble. This defense looked weak. They finished with 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. Eddie Jackson did have an interception. It's not as bad. I mean, I'm very curious to see what this defense looks like for the second half of the year. The 21st in opponent yards per play, 18th in opponent yards per pass. I actually thought they were a little worse than that. Papa Cal says high winds. I do not have high winds. I do not have high winds or rain. I have a nice day, sunny, 9 miles per hour. I'll double check that. If you're saying that, Papa Calls, I'll double check that. Let's hear what Andy has to say about this spot, Dolphins Bears.
Yeah, pretty simple. I'll keep the handicap simple so I can talk about something else. But yeah, the Chicago Bears defense wasn't ever good this year, and they've traded away 2 good pieces at this point. So losing those guys and then going up against a better offense than they've honestly faced here, probably in a couple weeks, like this is a dangerous offense if they keep Tua healthy and they can just get the ball in the hands of these 2 dynamic playmakers they have. They added a running back that maybe we'll see, how much he's able to get involved right away. I don't know. Honestly, you could bring in a pass rusher You can bring in a pass rusher and just throw him out there right away. That's fine. He doesn't need to learn that many plays. Just go kill the quarterback. But Miami is a team on the up and up. I worry that they could be a little fraudulent. I'm still not 100% sold on Tua, but I think this Miami offense is going to have its way. And I'm still not a believer in the Miami defense. So the Bears have been kind of squirrely on offense, even if they don't get Claypool involved at all. Justin Fields has been doing a little bit here and there, not just running the ball. Like, he's finding some open receivers. They're using the tight end. I bet this over. I took this over at 45. You can still get, I think Bet Chris still has a 45 in the market if you want that. I checked the weather 3 or 4 times at varying degrees of what we're going to have. I'm showing, it's so far out, somewhere between 10 and 20 mile an hour winds. It's never going to be calm there in Chicago. So I'm fine just chancing it with the weather. And truthfully, like, even if it is a little windy, I don't need either of these teams going deep. It's just get Tyreek the ball in his hands. Let him take care of the rest. Like, you should have 75-yard pass touchdowns where you only throw the ball like 6 yards. That's what Tyreek Hill brings to you. So, and I will say the Bears trade was atrocious today. Like, Chase Claypool is a nice weapon who had a really nice game 2.5 years ago or whatever when he had those 3 touchdowns as a rookie. He hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been effective. And he's been relegated behind multiple other wide receivers by the premier team in the league at evaluating wide receiver talent. They've done nothing but pick out the best receivers of the draft for how many years now? So when you're tossed aside by Pittsburgh, I'm not super excited about trading for you and giving up. I thought they'd given up the pick that they got from the Ravens, which is essentially a 3rd rounder, but they give up their own pick. And if they do lose a few more games, you're talking like a top 35 pick for Chase Claypool, who you only have like 1.5 years of team control over. It was a lot to give up. I was kind of sold on the Bears rebuild when they started trading away defensive pieces that were going to get expensive. And then it was 2 steps forward and 8 steps back today. So didn't love the amount that they gave up for Claypool in this one. But in this case, hopefully he finds the field and scores 6 touchdowns.
Well, I like your look on the over. By the way, I checked 3 different sites. None of them have the wind over 15 miles per hour at the very start of the game, dropping down to 12 and 11 within an hour and a half. So I had no concern. It's not as nice as I thought it was going to be, but it's the weather's beautiful.
It's nice for this time of year.
Beautiful, yeah. So the weather is non-issue here, and at least the market's moving from 44 to 45. I agree with this. I agree with this look to the over, and I'm going to jump in and roll. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Next up, we have 1 p.m. Eastern, Carolina Panthers 2-6, 0-3 on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals 4-4, 2-1 at home at Paycor Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio, 65 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9 miles per hour. And I like that we got on the board with the last game. Let's see if we got more action here. Let's move over here and get up. Sorry, it's messing with me. What the hell's going on? Sorry, let me just move over to odds NFL. That's going to take a second here to come up, but I'm waiting for that. What's going on? Okay, here we go. Carolina, Cincinnati. There's been a big move, not so big from when Pinnacle opened it, but the Pinnacle opened this at 7.5, and it moved to 7 pretty quickly. I saw on some offshores before games were played that it got up to 9.5, but it's now back at 7.5. So since it opened, there's been an 8-cent move towards the Bengals at Pinnacle. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 43 juice to the over. Now it's 43 juice to the under. And Sky Dragon says, who is Carolina's new kicker? Says, so gross, losing the money line last week. Can't stand the Atlanta frauds. That would have been very...
At the end of that game, I couldn't tell you who actually deserved to win it. Those are 2 franchises halfway in the toilet, but God, that was a wild ride.
It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. We have 4,564 tickets in, 47% of the tickets, 62% of the cash on Cincinnati. Then 27% of the tickets, 55% of the cash on the under. And we've seen the market moving towards the under. Carolina comes in off a wild 37-34 loss at Atlanta. Looked like they had the game won. We've already touched on that. DJ Moore, 62-yard pass, takes his helmet off, 15-yard penalty. Panero misses a 48-yarder, then misses a 32-yarder in overtime. But PJ Walker, 19-36, 317 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. DJ Moore caught 6 passes for 152 yards. Terrace Marshall, 4 for 87. Deonta Foreman, 26 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. The defense struggled. 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. They did get interceptions from C.J. Henderson and Dante Jackson. Safety Justin Burris is in concussion protocol. Dante Jackson did sustain an ankle injury late in the game. And the Panthers are, it seems, incapable of attacking the Bengals' weak offensive line. 30th in the NFL in sack percentage, taking down the opposing quarterback 4.1% of dropbacks. So if you can't hurt the Bengals there, then the Bengals should be in business. They're on a short week after their ugly 32-13 loss at Cleveland last night, down 25-0 heading into the fourth. They could again get nothing on the ground. And I'm still beating myself up for not being on the Browns. My whole plan, I could have got, when the Bengals were getting the ball, I could have got 3.5. But I was like, let's just wait. Got up to 5.5. And then as soon as that pick happened, there was no more real opportunities for me. I guess there was one more when the Browns missed the field goal. But, again, the Bengals are not running the ball, and they're not able to run the ball. What's going on with Joe Mixon? Burrow's first game without Jamar Chase, 25-35 for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 119 yards passing to his wide receivers. That's the 4th fewest in his career. T. Higgins, 3 catches for 49. Hayden Hurst, 4 for 42. Burrow got sacked 5 times. The defense looked weak. Von Bell had a pick. Cincinnati had not allowed a second-half touchdown in its first 7 games. The Browns scored 3. And then bad news. Chidobe Awuzie tore his ACL. He's done for the season. Trey Flowers replaced him. Then Trey Flowers left the game in the second half with a right hamstring injury. And then rookie safety Dax Hill was forced to play cornerback. So, again, my plan here was to end up on the Bengals. But after talking it out, I don't know if I can. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this one. Take it away here. Panthers, Bengals.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for a 7. I think it's gonna move back to 7.5. You're seeing some action on the 7. I hate backing a team after they looked like absolute dog shit on national or I hate fading a team after they've looked like dog shit on national television. But boy, this Panthers defense can probably do a little bit of what made Cincinnati bad. Like the pass rush for Cleveland was electric. I joked with Drew. I'm like, all these guys just snorted a handful of greenies before the game. They're wound tight and they're flying off the snap. They're getting a ton of pressure. They're fighting through blocks. The Cincinnati offensive line looks real bad. And Carolina can get after a little. And then, like you mentioned, the Cincinnati injuries in the secondary, the fact that Jamar Chase isn't, nowhere near returning, obviously, with where they put him. This total actually might be attackable at some point if we watch some live action and Carolina's moving the ball. But Carolina has a couple of, running backs that were sitting behind CMC that looked good against, teams that can't defend the run, which might be what they have when they head up to the Queen City here. So, I'm going to bet some 7.5, and Carolina's defense is going to keep them in this. And Carolina's running game and maybe even a little PJ Walker is probably going to get them a decent amount of points, enough to stay within a touchdown. I think this is a horrible game. I think this is going to be a really bad game to watch. This team total's probably sitting around 17. If you can find it cheaper than that, maybe that's an over. So it's just, if you lose Jamar Chase and you are able to do anything to take away Boyd and Higgins, Mixon's not good. And they have a good enough defense to, put this offense on ice enough to stay within a touchdown. Carolina Panthers are maybe not the worst team in the league anymore. I think Houston might be dropping below them. I'll check my updated stuff. It's close, but like I said, the distribution between the best and worst teams in the league is small right now, and Cincinnati probably not 5 points better than this team in a neutral right now.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a plus 7.5 available right now if you want it at minus 106 at Pinnacle.
Yeah, give me that. I'm going to see what I can get at I get a 7 plus 105. That's kind of nice. We'll see what Chris has for alt spread here. All right, yeah, I'm going to take a 7.5. Betting Carolina, good.
7.5 minus 106. Brady's saying Hendrickson is banged up for the Bengals.
Yeah.
That's significant. And Mac Beaver says danger that both Cincy and the Rams do not make the playoffs. Yeah, this makes sense to me. I do, like you, fear fading the Bengals off of disaster.
No, not only that, but Carolina scoring more points than maybe they'll score all year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a bit, but yeah, it's Carolina's. You know, I don't have this on the other side of a touchdown. So getting a 7.5 is a number play for me.
I'm not going to move on it yet. So Andy's on the Panthers plus 7.5 at minus 106. Do you agree with this market move towards the under?
Kind of. I mean, we did see Cincinnati just struggle to do anything on offense without Jamar. And granted, the pass rush was really, really getting home. Maybe we see more of that. But yeah, it's. I think this number's probably bang on right now. This is Carolina gets to like 17. This is like a 20-17 Cincinnati win, and it's like 20-17 late, and it comes down to like a Panthers drive at the end where it's like, is this going over or not? Are we going to goddamn overtime? Am I going to lose my under 42.5 when it's tied at 20 going? So I think this total is pretty good.
It's funny how things change so quickly. I was so confident in the Bengals at home against the Falcons. So confident. And then we're here 2 weeks later, and wow, what a difference. What a difference. All right, Spenny Penny Bombs, by the way, saying he's going to be going over the Breeders' Cup Friday races in Twitter Spaces. If anyone wants to join in.
Drop your Twitter handle there, Spencer. I wouldn't mind following you and paying attention. I love betting Breeders' Cup, and I am tragically behind.
Oh God, I'm so excited. I just couldn't be more excited. We haven't been hammering horses. There's always that break here for us leading up to the Breeders' Cup, but this is as excited as I can possibly be. Where do I have? I thought I had the. Here we go. This is us on Friday right here. Friday, baby. So there'll be no betting with the bag. We're gonna go right to the horses, and then Saturday, 10:15 a.m. we attack all day horses. Oh, I can't wait for the Classic. There's so many great races. But all right, let's get back to work here. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, Green Bay Packers 3-5, 1-3 on the road to the Detroit Lions, 1-6, 1-3 at home. We're at Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. We have these Packers opening up at -3 at minus 106. They're now -3 at minus 122. So a 16-cent move over to the Packers. From a total perspective, it opened up at 49.5 minus 101 to the over. It's now minus 102 to the over. So not a lot of move there. Then we go over to the cash flow here. 4,665 tickets in, 52% of the tickets and 75% of the cash on the Detroit Lions. But we see a move towards the Packers. That's confusing. Then the total is up in the air. You have 45% of tickets on the under, 53% of cash. You don't see the under moving. I will copy and paste my man Dennis's look for Love Reigns on Breeders' Cup Friday. Okay, let's break this down. The Packers come in off their 4th straight loss, 27-17 setback at Buffalo. The 4-game skid is the second longest under Rodgers. The team's worst since 2016. Green Bay hasn't been 3-5 since 2006. That's Brett Favre's second to last year. And it felt like they weren't trying to win the game. They were just trying to not be embarrassed. It allowed the Packers to cover. It allowed us to cash the unders. It was very strange. Rodgers was 19 of 30 for 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He completed 3 passes of more than 20 yards. Dubs caught 4 for 62 and a touchdown. So Green Bay already missing Lazard, Cobb, and then they lose Christian Watson, who had returned. He left with a concussion. This Lions team allows 8.1 yards per attempt. That's the worst in the NFL. They allow 5.1 yards per carry. That's the 5th worst in the league. This defense is terrible. They moved the ball on the ground, and the Bills let them do it. It was eating up clock. Aaron Jones, 20 carries for 143 yards. A.J. Dillon, 10 carries for 54 yards. The defense, again, looked weak. 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. They got interceptions from Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas. Then they lose Devondre Campbell. Hurt his knee in the first half. And Quay Walker was ejected for that strange shove on the Bills' sidelines. LaFleur has said that Chris Barnes could return to the team this week. He was on injured reserve for a high ankle sprain. He's now eligible to return to practice. That would help a lot. The Lions made some noise today at the deadline. They traded TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings. They received a 2023 second-round pick, 2024 third-round pick. They come in off their 5th straight loss, 31-27 setback at home to the Dolphins. They were up 27-17 at the half, couldn't finish the job. Goff, 27-37, 321 yards and a touchdown. Hawkinson caught 3 passes for 80 yards in his final game in the Lions uni. Khalif Raymond caught 3 for 76. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 7 for 69 in his return from a concussion. DeAndre Swift did not look right. He got a full week of practice. He returns for the first time since week 3. And 5 carries for 6 yards, 5 receptions for 21 yards. The defense couldn't get stops when they needed them. They allowed the Dolphins to go for 7.4 yards per play, 8 for 12 on third down. And they lost A.J. Parker, a cornerback. He was injured during the game, lost to a hip injury. And Brock Wright left. He's in concussion protocol. And now you don't have Hawkinson. I'm surprised that the bigger bets are in on the Lions. That caught me by surprise. I thought this was a great buy low spot for the Packers against the Lions defense that can't stop anything. But that I'm concerned. I do not want to go against that what looks like sharp action. Take it away for us, Andy. Packers Lions.
Yeah, Birdie and I don't agree on everything, but we agree strongly here. Not touching this game is the right angle. Like the Detroit offense or defense is utterly atrocious, but the Green Bay offense is such a mess right now as far as getting anything going. And then, I mean, they looked good running the ball in the second half. If you wouldn't have seen the time or the scoreboard, you would have thought that was a nice drive. But it's like, oh, God, you guys are down 3 scores. And you're just running the ball in the first 6 plays of this drive. Like, have you given up on life? Are you done? Is it the end of the season? If they cough this game up and the Dolphins win, which is, the chalk in that game, and the Vikings win, which is the chalk in that game, I think Minnesota clinches the division. My God, they'll have like a 5-game lead in week 8. It's a long road to getting back to even a wild card spot for Green Bay right now. They need this game if they want to do anything. That said, I don't trust the offense at all. I don't quite understand why this total's 50. I guess the general consensus is both these defenses are worse than we thought. But I mean, Detroit, like you said, Swift ain't right. Hawkinson's now wearing purple. I don't know if this Detroit offense does a whole lot here. I kind of want to bet this under, and I don't really want to bet an under in 2 teams where I've downgraded their defenses markedly from the beginning of the year. Like Green Bay I really had some sort of high hopes. The only good thing about Green Bay's defense from like years past is Zadarius Smith, and unfortunately he's playing in Minnesota this year. So it's been a bad defense for the Packers as well. So numbers say under, but the eye test says that's a silly thing to do here. So passing. And yeah, if Green Bay gets right here, maybe they're a look on as a buy team against bad defenses. And going forward, maybe learn something from this one.
Sky Dragon says Aaron Rodgers owns 2 teams, the Bears and the Lions. This is one of them. Green Bay gets right. Papa Cal's seeing 3.5s now. Thomas Maggio says Green Bay by how much? By how much? Papa Cal says Green Bay team total over is a possibility for him. Jared TG says there's the only thing the Packers can do well is run, and they need to hammer it. Mac Beaver says Vince Lombardi could not win with this Lions team. And Clint says, I'll never play Lions under this season. I was expecting to want to be on the Packers. It's moved to 3.5, so the books are concerned. But still, I can't get over the fact that 75% of the cash is here on the Lions. Maybe they waited till it went to 3.5 and big bets came in. Well, that's going to give me pause. I expected to want to be on the Packers here. Harold Williams says Packers or pass. Packers bad football too. All right. No move there at this point, but I'm going to be watching it closely. My whole plan was to be on the Packers this week, but I don't know if I can. Let's move to 1 p.m. Eastern. Indianapolis Colts 3-4-1, 1-2-1 on the road at New England Patriots 4-4, 1-2 a homer at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Gorgeous. I mean, it's cloudy, but 72 Fahrenheit. Are you kidding me? In November? Let's go to the line history here. Colts, Patriots. This is going to be a fun one. We have the Patriots opening up at -6. Excuse me, at -6.5. They're now -6. It is at plus money, so it's sort of a 6.5 still. We go to the totals. Opened up at 39.5. It's a 6-cent move to the under at 39.5. I doubled up. I cashed on the Patriots last weekend. I also cashed on the under. It was very rewarding. Let's go to the cash here. Just 4,438 tickets in. 51% of the tickets and 72% of the cash on the Colts. Then 70% of tickets, 99% of cash on the under. I know the sample size is small, which is 4,000, a little over 4,000 tickets, but wow. There's T-Mac in the house. Papa Kyle says crazy warm in New England this week. Nasty Nate says Pats smash. Colts opened up the Sam Ehlinger era with a 17-16 loss at home to the Commanders. So Matt Ryan, despite being inactive last week, still leads the NFL with 9 interceptions, 12 total giveaways. He's tied with Justin Fields for the most fumbles at 11. This Colts team is now being trailing at the half a league record 10 straight times. Ehlinger was 17 for 23 for 201 yards. He also lost a fumble, but their yards per play increased from 5.1 to 6 with Ehlinger at quarterback. Alec Pierce caught 3 passes for 65 yards. Michael Pittman Jr. caught 7 for 53. Jonathan Taylor ran 16 times for 76 yards. He did lose a fumble. The defense had 2 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. Shaquille Leonard had an interception. Tyquan Lewis, their defensive lineman, was carted off the field. It's a ruptured patella tendon in his left knee, and he is done for the season. They're 1 game out of a playoff spot, number 9 in the AFC. Patriots come in off a 22-17 victory at the Jets. Mac Jones, 24-35, 194 yards, touchdown, a pick. Ramondre Stevenson, what a beast. 16 carries, 71 yards, 7 catches, 72 yards. Jacoby Myers caught 9 for 60. Nick Folk hit 5 field goals. And the defense was strong throughout. They picked off Zach Wilson 3 times, just 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, but McCourty had 2 picks and Juwan Bentley had 1. Devontae Parker left the game in the first quarter. He will miss at least a game with a knee sprain. And this New England squad is 23rd in opponents' yards per carry. The more I talk about these numbers, makes me want to back the Colts here at the price, with the points here. I didn't think that was going to be part of my plan, but now I'm thinking that I think the Colts have hope with Ehlinger at quarterback. I think they can. I think he will improve as the season goes on, and they're going to be able to run the ball against the Patriots. What do you think here, Andy? Take it away, Colts, Patriots.
Just way too much uncertainty surrounding the Colts to bet this game at all. I'd lean Patriots just because Ehlinger's. My whole thesis last week, it's like Ehlinger laying points is not a thing. That shouldn't be a thing. I don't care if it's, the Pop Warner team from my hometown. Like Ehlinger laying points is not right in the NFL. But this is a different situation now. He's getting 5.5. New OC. I joked about this. Actually, my producer made this into a TikTok. I said, like, they must have pulled Frank Reich in and said, hey, buddy, things are going poorly. You got 3 options. You can change quarterback, you can throw your OC under the bus and fire him, or you can go find a new job. So it's crazy that they've knocked 2 of those things off the list in quick fashion. So the only thing left, I guess, is to bet Frank Reich first coach fire when they ultimately lose a couple more games. But the uncertainty around getting rid of Brady, bringing in the other Sirianni, and then, who knows what Ehlinger is. He looked okay at times. I know he's nice and mobile. Patriots sometimes have problems with mobile quarterbacks. We just saw that. So that's what gives me pause laying points against him with the Patriots team that looked kind of like shit in a game they covered and really were never – that game wasn't really in doubt. But, man, that offense looked pretty bad at time for a team that had, 6 scoring drives. So this is a no thanks, Jimmy, from me.
See, I think I agree with the Sharps here on the Colts. I think the Colts will improve as the season goes on. I mean, look at the we have not seen Taylor have the opportunity to really be who he is. And now he's going to get that. I mean, we went over the stat last week about the record for the Colts when their quarterback throws less than 30 passes. I mean, I do not think the Jets are that good of a football team.
No.
And so
the fact that it took that much to, they just couldn't finish drives. The offense looked a little tough.
I think that the Colts plus 5.5 is going to be on my card. I do. I really do. Mac Beaver says Colts offensive line got paid and went to sleep.
Yeah, they've been a disappointment.
What do you think of this total so low at 39.5? I agree with. I agree with this look on the under. Do you?
It's again, there's so much uncertainty surrounding what this offense is going to be with a new coordinator. They could get real squirrely and just call a bunch of designed runs for Ellinger, and suddenly the Patriots are struggling on what should be a pretty good defense. And this total might actually look a little low in that case. But for me, yeah, it's bang on. I'm fine.
Sky Dragon says Belichick for his rookie quarterback, and we all know those numbers. But he says he thinks he might take Indy too. Stu Chaos looking first. I like I'm a little hesitant just to keep going back to the well on these Patriots unders. After catching last week, but I want both. I want both the under 39.5.
Sassy.
I do. I want both. Colts plus 5. I think the Colts can cover this big number, but I don't think they're going to put up many points. Like if this was a 17-13 final for the Patriots, that would not surprise me in the least.
No. Yeah, I think my long tail ending is like the Colts offense trucks by accident because they run Ellinger like 16 times. And they end up with a couple long plays. I don't know. We saw that Belichick. I mean, we just had this Belichick versus a young quarterback. Like, oh man, the Bears are in trouble. And boy, I got caught with my pants around my ankles there. So no action for me here. Although maybe an overreaction, and the Colts shouldn't be, getting this many points in a low total.
I've got asterisks beside both. I'm definitely going to be on the Colts plus 5.5. I've talked myself into that. I may be in on the under 39.5 as well. Let's move on. Next up, 1 p.m. Eastern, Buffalo Bills 6-1, 3-1 on the road. The New York Jets 5-3, 1-3 at home at MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. 71 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 9 miles per hour. Let's start with the line history in Bills Jets. We have these Bills getting hammered. They open up. There's actually been a move on the Jets at this number. Interestingly enough, I know that the 13 was Pinnacle waiting. Pinnacle put this out yesterday at 3:48 p.m. So other books who did it before the Jets game had this much closer at 10.5, 11, some offshores, 13 here. So there has been a 11-cent move to the Jets at 13. And then the total opened up at 47, minus 107 to the under. It's now minus 108 to the under, so not a lot of movement there. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. We have 7,073 tickets in. 45% of the tickets, 62% of cash on the Jets. And 73% of tickets, 96% of cash on the under. It's a beautiful day. Well, it's mostly cloudy, but 71 Fahrenheit in November in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Bills coming off a 27-17 home win over the Packers. Josh Allen, 13-25, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 fourth-quarter interceptions. Also ran 6 times for 49 yards. Stephon Diggs was excellent again. 6 catches for 108 yards and a TD. Devin Singletary ran 14 times for 67 yards. They finished with 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Matt Milano continued his great season with an interception, but he injured his oblique muscle during the game. Jordan Poyer ruled out in the fourth quarter with an elbow injury. So Tre'Davious White is going to be activated. It's 11 months since he tore a ligament in his knee. And it's possible that he's not in the game against the Jets. McDermott said that he's uncertain as to whether White will suit up. And we're waiting for more information on Milano and Poyer at this point. The Jets had their 4-game winning streak snapped in a 22-17 loss at home to New England. Zach Wilson, 20 of 41 for 355 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. First 300-yard game of his career. And he looked bad. I mean, the interceptions were costly. So he has 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 5 games this year. He's completed 54.9% of his passes. Garrett Wilson caught 6 for 115, and Ty Conklin 6 for 79 and 2 touchdowns. But their first game without Breece Hall, and they couldn't move the ball on the ground. Michael Carter ran 7 times for 26 yards and caught 4 for 35. James Robertson's first game with the Jets, he 5 carries for 17 yards. The defense was strong, 6 sacks, and 8 quarterback hits. We know what we're going to get from the defense. What we don't know is what we're going to get from the offense, and I don't think it's going to be good. I think the Jets are a fade as we move forward, but I don't know. I mean, this is another 13-point road team here, like we have with the Eagles Texans. Take it away for us, Andy. Bills Jets.
Yeah, Gerald, beat still my heart there. That's basically the angle here. Is in a big spread like this on the road, I don't know how much gas. It might be more breaks than gas in the second half of this Buffalo Bills offense that should absolutely be able to have their way, despite the Jets defense being good. I mean, above average for sure, but this Jets offense is just so bad. And I mean, without Breece Hall, it really takes away any worry. You don't have to stack the box at all. You can cover, and then you have a quarterback who can't even throw the ball away without getting picked off. So if I can find a 17, I will be on this Jets team total under. I don't see how they get that many points without, I don't know, a fumble recovery touchdown, something along those lines. So Zach Wilson is just, he's not good. I mean, there's metrics to back that up. There's the eye test. There's just the box score, seeing how many picks he's going to throw. There's a lot of bad young quarterbacks right now, and Zach Wilson's definitely one of them. So it's not somewhere I would ever lay 13 on the road with anybody, even the team I believe to be even, heads and shoulders not heads and shoulders, but at least heads above the Eagles, Chiefs, and a couple other teams. So it's not a spot I'd lay it, but if I wanted to fade the Jets, I'd be on the under or the team total under. I know it's a 16.5 with a good plus number, but if I can find a 17, I'll be on this. Bet Online hasn't popped up their team totals yet. It pisses me off.
Yeah, 16.5 is what I've got here, but I agree with Birdie on the under 47.5. I think the Jets can bend but not break here. But is that putting too much faith in the Jets defense?
It's a good defense. I talked about downgrading the Packers defense quite a bit. I've upgraded the Jets. It's not great, but it's a good defense, which is maybe kind of hard to find these days. So Buffalo added some, I don't know, depth to their running back room. I'm not sure quite what they did after they used a semi-high pick on Mr. Moss. Zach Moss is a completely different person. Cook, Dalvin's little brother, but I don't think that makes a huge difference here. We'll see about White. We'll see if he makes any game time. If he's healthy, ready to go, maybe this under deserves a definite look. So I agree with him there. I like the under a bit, but I'm looking at just fading the Jets in a couple different ways.
I like the look on the under. I do need to know about Poyer and Milano, but I like I like this look on the under. I think it makes a lot of sense. I guess I won't move on it tonight because we'll get so much information tomorrow at practice. And I'll just be listening to the Bills radio station all day. But I like this under. I think, Birdie, you're on the right track. I don't think the Jets are going to be able to score a ton. And I don't think the Bills are going to need to put too much emphasis on scoring to beat this Jets team. So if the Jets can't run the ball, they're in massive trouble. I agree with everything here. So this is the side I don't find as appealing as trusting the Jets defense and knowing that their offense is not capable. And I'll know, Birdie, I'll know tomorrow. I'll be on the radio all day on Buffalo radio, and then I'll move on it. So I'm just not going to bet it tonight, but I want the under. I agree. I like that look.
I'm with you, Birdie, as well. If the Jets defense shows up at all, this game's not touching 40.
Maybe I should just move on it. I mean, need to know that Milano's good. I that's but I like it. I like it. Maybe I do move on to time. I'm certainly the plan will be to bet this at some point over the next 24 hours once we get a little bit more information, whether it be tonight or tomorrow. Let's keep rolling here. Next up, 1 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota Vikings 6-1, 2-1 on the road at the Washington Commanders 4-4, 2-2 at home. We're at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. 74 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 10 miles per hour. I see a team like the Vikings at 6-1, and I see dollar signs because they're not that good. And I know we're going to, and maybe it starts right here, betting the Commanders right this week, because this team has been so healthy. It's such a fraudulent 6-1 football team. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have the Vikings opening up at -3. They're now -3.5. How long did that 3 last for? So that 3 came out at 7:28. Within 12 minutes, it was -116. 3 minutes after that, it was -122. And 14 minutes after that, it moved to 3.5. I don't get it. I just let's go to the totals here. This total opened up at 44. It's now at 43.5. Let's go to the cash. We have and I was not with you guys on the Commanders. I didn't take the Colts, but I felt like I left. I mean, that was a great drive by Heineke. This team believes in them. 55% of the tickets, 62% of the cash on Minnesota. Maybe I should wait then. I mean, is this a spot where I can get even a better number? 28% of tickets are on the under, but 50% of the cash. So it seems like sharp money is on the under. Clint says, how dare you? I'd love to know what you think of this football team, Clint. So the Vikings, let's talk about some stats here. They come in off their 5th straight win, 34-26 at home over the Cardinals. So last year they lost 8 games by 8 points or fewer. All 5 of these wins have been within 8 points. Cousins 24-36 for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Justin Jefferson 6 catches for 98, Thielen 6 for 67, and Dalvin Cook ran 20 times for a season high 111 yards. So the 3-headed monster was in business. Dalvin also caught 5 for 40. You mentioned Zadarius Smith already, Andy. What a monster! I know that he barely played last year, but geez, I mean, he was just such a giant. 7 tackles, 4 for a loss, 3 sacks, and 1 pass defended. Jesus. Harrison Smith, Cameron Bynum each had interceptions. Greg Joseph has missed 5 straight field goals at home. I'm looking forward for that to rear its ugly head.
That's crazy. This team has won close games, and they have, I think, the worst percentage of field goal makes in the league right now. It's wild. Like they are. I mean, you're right. They're just skating by on the skin of their teeth here.
They are. And Dalvin Tomlinson left in the 3rd quarter, their defensive end, with a calf injury. He's week to week. He will miss this game. And I bring it up because they've been so healthy. They've missed 1 starter. One starter's missed 1 game. Harrison Smith sat out week 3 with a concussion. That's it. This defense allows the 4th most passing yards per game, the 2nd most pass yards per attempt, and they're 6-1. That shit's not going to last, man. The Commanders coming off their 3rd straight victory, 17-16 win in Indy. Heineke, 23-31, 279 yards, touchdown, interception, ran 6 times for 29 yards. Scary Terry caught 6 for 113. Curtis Samuel caught 3 for 50, ran 4 times for 29. You have Gibson now with Robinson back there. Gibson really being like a focus from a passing attack. He caught 7 passes for 58 yards and a touchdown. So if you take Heineke and Curtis Samuel out, though, Washington only got 45 yards rushing in Indianapolis. And, I don't think the Patriots I don't think Ramondre Stevenson's going to have a big game against Colts. The more I think about that Colts spot, the more confident I'm getting on it. And maybe the move is not. Well, no, I think I got to take the full under because it's possible that Ellinger does nothing. So this defense, 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. The Vikings are ranked 10th in the league in run defense. So that's a concern. But, Washington just beat Indy on the road by a point without being able to run the ball. They're probably not going to be able to run the ball here. This defense was ranked 23rd after 4 games, this Commander defense. They're 13th now, and they're 8th in red zone defense. This team is improving, and Chase Young is taking part in practice on Wednesday. So he starts his 21-day clock to be activated off the physically unable to perform list. He's not going to play this weekend, but Washington has had difficulty on the line this year. They had 4 different starting centers, which is awful. Trey Turner went back to right guard in place of Sadiq Charles. So, they need some continuity there. Cole Holcomb with the foot injury and Dotson hamstring, De'Ami Brown groin, missed the Colts game. Take it away here. I can't wait to hear your breakdown of this game. I'm interested in getting involved. Vikings, Commanders.
Vikings were a perfect 5 for 5 in the red zone, and maybe once Andy Reid retires, we'll have Kevin O'Connell off the bye as our go-to. They looked so good on offense, and they're bringing in a big upgrade at tight end. Honestly, I think I love Derv Smith, but TJ Hawkinson's just a better tight end. So this is a team that's a little bit fraudulent, but it's one of those things where we look at Kevin O'Connell, we look at where he came from. Oh, it's just going to be Rams 2.0. Everything we saw that the Rams did good is coming because it just works with osmosis because he stood next to Sean McVay for a while. But maybe those things take time, and maybe that's what we're starting to see with this Minnesota offense. They have the weapons. They have a competent quarterback. They have 2 really good receivers, nice complementary pieces, 2 good running backs, and now they have a good tight end. That said, this defense stinks, and it stinks ass. It's not good. The coverage unit's horrid. Harrison Smith's fine, but as a unit, it's been bad. It can give up big chunks, not only to good offenses, but boy, bad offenses can move on this team too. And this is a team that was losing to the Lions, to the Bears, to the Cardinals in games that they won. This is a team that seems to get ahead and not be able to finish games until they have to, and they have to come back. And I worry about laying over a field goal with this team on the road, but I probably am going to play this over. I'm going to fade the money coming in. I know it's pushed down a little, but I like, the combination of an upgrade at quarterback and Heineke with those 2 receivers there. They have one really good receiver that isn't getting his due because he had to start the season with a horseshit quarterback. So I like Washington to get moving on this Viking secondary, and I like Minnesota to just keep humming along. Maybe Minnesota covers, maybe they don't, but I'm probably going to be on this over. I don't see how Washington isn't able to score multiple touchdowns in the secondary, even if they're garbage time touchdowns. And Minnesota's offense, if we've seen anything like we saw last week, should, 28? What's your floor here? I think this total's quite a bit lower than it should be. And maybe this is another one where I didn't check the weather.
It's beautiful. Don't worry, I checked it. No concern. No concern about whether or wind, anything. Let's talk about this spot here because I can get you a 43 at a cheap price if you want to go over that. We could get that 43 at minus 107.
I'm putting faith in you that your weather report's good. If it's looking all right there in Raljan, I'll take the over.
The wind is 10 miles per hour, 74 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy.
Kurt scoffs at that. All right, I'll take an over here.
And you want the 43 or the 43.5 at plus money?
I'll take the plus money. You know what? I'm going to laugh when this lands on it now.
It's only a plus 101 at 43.5. It might not be.
Yeah, it's not. We'll take the 43.
Yeah, 43. I think that makes sense. Yeah. 43.
Semi-key number.
Yeah. 43 minus 107. I want Washington, but no need to do it here. Still bigger bets are coming in on Minnesota. But I think that's probably at the 3, right? But I guess there couldn't be that big of bets because there's limits at the 3 or when it comes out, limits drop tomorrow. I think the Commanders keep stay in this game. So I don't see why I wouldn't move on the plus 3.5. I really don't. I mean, do you think there's a possibility this goes to 4?
I don't know. It's a strong move already. I honestly don't have a strong read on where this market's heading. What's Chris at right now? Sometimes you get a little indication from, Penny or Chris. They're flat 3.5. Honestly, I think this is where it closes.
Stu Chaos says, as a Washington fan, don't be fooled by what you've seen. The coaches are horrendous.
Yeah, they do need to move on, like at the end of this year.
This isn't a bet on Washington. This is a bet against Minnesota. Let's see them do this on the road. I just don't trust them. Papa Call says going to 4. Maybe I wait a bit. Maybe I want the Commanders, but I guess there's no need to move on at this point. But I want them. Okay, let's move on. Next up, 1 p.m. Eastern, Las Vegas Raiders, 2-5, 0-4 on the road at Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-6, 1-3 at home, TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida, 80 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 13 miles per hour is the wind. And man, did the Raiders hit their low point of the season in that ugly 24-0 loss at New Orleans. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. God, that was ugly football from the Raiders. The Raiders opened up at -1 at -102. They're now -1 at -115. It did get up to -120, so it's come back a little. So why don't we look at the money line? Money line opened up at -109, got up to -127, at -122. From a total, it opened up at 47. We now have a 47.5 on the board. And Birdie said he already bet the Raiders on the -1 line. I think that makes sense to me. I think I'd like to join you here. Let's take a look at where the money is. 43% of the tickets, 51% of the cash is on Jacksonville. Just 4,060 tickets in. 73% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on the over. Raiders didn't have the ball across midfield until 2 minutes remained in the game. That's how awful. Derek Carr, 15-26, 101 yards, replaced by Stidham late in the fourth. Mac Hollins caught 7 passes for 64 yards. Devontae Adams caught just 1 pass for 3 yards on 5 targets. They said he was sick. Again, no Darren Waller. He's being listed as questionable. Is trying to return from this hamstring injury that he suffered October 10th. They were incapable of moving the ball on the ground. They could get no pressure on Dalton, no sacks, no quarterback hits. The Jaguars' defensive numbers, 12th in opponent's yard per play. The Raiders are 24th. So you have a Jaguars defense that's better. This 29th in opponent third down conversion rate, this Raiders defense. 31st in opponent red zone touchdown percentage. This is a bad defense. Jaguars coming off their 5th straight loss, 21-17 setback across the pond in Wembley. Lawrence, 18-31, 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. A red zone interception at 1st and goal. I was very pleased with. Evan Ingram, 4 catches for 55 yards. Etienne, 24 carries for 156 yards and a touchdown. He was a monster. The defense was strong, gave them opportunities to win. 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. Tyson Campbell had an interception. Jamal Agnew inactive 2 weeks in a row because of a knee injury. They lost Lloyd Cushenberry, and Graham Glasgow replaced him. It's a hip injury, and we haven't got an update on their center here. But that was Broncos losing Cushenberry. I don't even know why I dropped that into the. Sorry about that.
I think because you were talking about England, and he sounds like he should be like the Lord of it. Lloyd Cushenberry, the Lord of Essex.
I don't know why I brought up Cushenberry. My apologies. Okay,
I was a little thrown off, but it's all right. Jimmy's feeling under the weather, and it's week 9. It's a long grind, guys. But this is a stinker, and I get buying low on the Raiders, but boy, is this a stinker of a game for 2 teams. Sometimes, I love this about Jimmy too, where when you don't have a read on a team, you just say, I don't understand. I don't know what this. I don't understand the market around this team. I don't understand what they're going to be this week. I don't get it. I think that's where I'm at with both teams. I've stayed away from this game so much where I've actually avoided even like handicapping it. I mean, I'll try a little for you guys, but the Jags, both sides of the ball have been disappointing according to where I've had them preseason. And the Raiders, they come up against a little bit of resistance and just fold. This is a team that, and Jacobs had like 150 against the Chiefs. And this is maybe it was the Chiefs. I'm trying to think of which game that was. Jacobs just went off. Like, they have a run game. So maybe Jacobs gets going and they're able to run the ball. I would, if I was betting the Raiders, that's the only way I'd go. Buying low on this team. I would need Waller to be in. Like I would need that little nookie blankie. I would need that little safety net of like, hey, Waller's in. But yeah, this is a bum fight. You're hitting it right there, Viper. I'm not comfortable taking either side or other side of this total. I can be talked into, hey, I'm buying low on the Raiders because this is about as low as the stock is going to go. But I would really want Waller to be in.
When you're dealing with a hamstring injury, and then you make a bet because a receiver's in, and then you see him walk off the field,
just waddle off the field, yeah.
And that's not gonna happen to me again. So Waller being in when we're dealing with a hammy is not going to be enough for me to trust that he can make it through a whole game. He's been trying to come back. He's got issues there. I guess I came in thinking I was going to be on the Raiders here. What do you think about the Jags coming back from London? Is that something that you want to fade because they'll be tired?
We've seen some of these defenses come back from London and play poorly. So, I mean, that's another case for this Raiders run game to get going. God damn it, am I getting talked into this? And yes, as Papa Calls is pointing out, the Raiders did not travel back to Sin City. They stayed down in Sarasota off the New Orleans games. They don't travel to the East Coast. That's usually another recipe for six. God damn it, you guys are going to make me bet the Raiders.
I think so.
I said I was just going to stay away from this game, but it's a buy low spot. It's a spot where they can run the ball. It's a spot where the other team's coming back from London and the defense stinks already. We've seen some of these defenses, come back from London and play pretty dead-legged. So Raiders are nothing, and for now it's nothing.
I'd like to get involved with the Raiders. I love the opportunity. I love that they don't go home after getting completely embarrassed.
For sure.
They sit with that anger all week. This got to be a Raiders spot.
Florida, of all places.
It's got to be a Raiders spot.
America's colostomy bag, just having to hang out in Sarasota. Ugh. Like that anger is just going to fester down there in the heat and humidity. I get it. So, yeah, you guys are close to making me bet a game.
I think that I am going to move on this game. I think Raiders, I like Birdie's idea that they're going to be able to run the ball that you've backed. Yeah, I'm interested. I think I pull the trigger on the Raiders here, and the Jags lose their 6th straight game.
And someone's pointing out the Vikings went to London, came back, won a game, but that was before the Bears were even playing well, and they kind of gave up some bad yardage to the Bears in the second half. That defense looked rough in the second half of that game. So maybe the offense is fine. Maybe this over is a look. So kind of choose your own adventure here. I lean Raiders, but I'm pretty adamant about not betting this one.
I think I'm getting involved. Let's just go back to where's the sharp cash? Is there any? Oh, they don't know what's going on either, man. All right, I'm interested in the Raiders. Very interested in the Raiders. You know what? I'm going to bet the Raiders. I'm going to bet them. I love when the team sits there angry for a week. Okay. I'm moving on the Raiders. Decision's being made. Let's go. 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Seahawks 5-3, 2-2 on the road at the Arizona Cardinals. 3-5, 1-3 at home. We're at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Excuse me. Start with the line history. This whole show started off with Dennis Garcia talking about what Pete Carroll's done in Seattle. I am impressed and did not expect it. The Seahawks opened up at +3. They're already at +1.5. So a 1.5 point move. This total opened up at 50 as a pick'em. There's been a 9-cent move to the over. Let's take a look at the cash flow. Astute Chaos saying, don't do it in capitals. I have to do it. I love when a team is just angry. Very, very, very angry. And I have to do it. I'll go down with that ship. Seahawks Cardinals, though, let's talk here. We have 10,718 tickets in. So this is the most bet on game thus far, other than, of course, the Thursday nighter. We have 82% of tickets, 90% of the cash on the Seahawks. 58% of tickets and 90% of cash on the over. Sophisticated bum fight for you, as Duke says about that Jags Raiders game. Okay, Seahawks continue to play impressive football. Geno Smith, 23 of 34, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also ran 5 times for 26 yards. Lockett caught 5 passes for 63 yards and a touchdown. DK Metcalf caught 6 for 55 and a touchdown. A Lockett hamstring and oblique injury was questionable. Metcalf with a knee injury was questionable. 9 different players caught passes. Kenneth Walker, 18 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown. This Seahawks defense is excelling. They're we thought they were the worst in the league, and now they held Saquon Barkley to a season low 53 yards on 20 carries. They finished with 5 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. They also played almost the entire game without Darrell Taylor. He was out with a groin injury. And Austin Blythe left the game with a knee sprain, their center, but he's expected to be good to go. And Kyle Fuller can come in and relieve Blythe. So even if Blythe isn't good to go, it's not too much of a setback going with Fuller. Cardinals coming off a 34-26 loss at Minnesota. Murray, 31 of 44 for 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also ran 6 times for 36 yards. That led the ground game. The rest of the Cardinals ran 16 times for 42 yards. DeAndre Hopkins was excellent in the second game back from suspension. 12 catches, 159 yards, touchdown. Moore, 7 catches for 92 yards, touchdown. J.J. Watt, 2 sacks and 3 quarterback hits, but where was the rest of the defense? They have a bunch of injuries. Left guard Max Garcia with the shoulder. Left tackle DJ Humphries with the back. Outside linebacker Dennis Gardeck, we thought might have come back last week, didn't. Ankle injury. James Conner with the ribs still out. And they still don't have Rodney Hudson, their center. Those are 5 big pieces, 5 starters. Do you agree with this market move towards the Seahawks, Andy, and how are you moving on this?
I had the Seahawks. I was happy to cash. I think they deserved the cover. I think I deserved the win because I got ahead of the number and I had a 2.5 in my pocket. So I'm going to sell that and then say they were given some absolute gifts by having, the Giants had 2 fewer drives. It was 13-11 in drives. So when you have 2 more drives than the other team, it's a small advantage. You win the playoff, or you win the turnover battle. They won the penalty battle. They were 2 for 3 in the red zone. They just managed to really play well on defense. It was a nice win, but it's not a win that's convincing me the Seahawks can go on the road and win some of these divisional games. Cardinals team ran into a buzzsaw. Like I said, Minnesota was 5 for 5 in the red zone. They were just efficient. They were calling really good plays. Minnesota looked good. I don't know if Minnesota will ever look that good this year. I'm hoping that offense continues. Obviously, I have that over, but that might have been, some of those drives were just immaculate. So this total, I know it's tempting to bet this over, but if the Seahawks defense looks like it did last week, it might not come close. This might be a game that ends up in the lower 40s, and I think it's a tight game. I'd love to take the points here, but I wish it was a little more. I understand the move. Getting those points would have been nice. We did that with the NFC West last year. We Drew and I were always just joking. You just take the underdog all the time in all of them, every single one of those. It was crazy. At one point, the underdog money line was the actual move. They just kept winning straight up. So I don't know. So maybe Seattle is for real. Geno's been super efficient, but the Cardinals are starting to get some pieces together. I don't think this number's wrong. Okay, I don't see an edge in betting either side of this game right now. This is going to be a good close game, and if you made me do it, I would take Seahawks money line because it's a plus number. I think it's honestly a coin flip.
It's a tough one. one. I have 49ers futures from the beginning of the year, so I'll be cheering for the Cardinals. I don't want the Seahawks to get to 6-3, but the Seahawks are playing really good football. So I agree. The move from 3 to 1.5. Interesting looks here. Birdie's on the Seattle first half money line at plus 110, staying off the full game. Dennis Garcia says Seattle defense last 3 weeks straight fire. They've been really, really good. There's just no getting around it. Danny Lopez going back to the well with Seahawks first half. I cashed with that, but you're right. The Richie James was giving out gifts. So.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, live overs. If the Seattle Seahawks or defense regresses or is a bit of mirage if the Cardinals are calling the good plays. Kyler's going video game mode, but otherwise hard pass game for me.
A game I want to watch, but
Yeah.
I understand the concern betting it at this point. But if those of you keep cashing on the Seahawks, playing with the house's money, you want to keep rolling, I get it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
All right, let's move on. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. The Los Angeles Rams 3-4, 1-1 on the road at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-5, 1-3 at home at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 83 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 11 miles per hour here. How bad are these two football teams? This is crazy. The Bucks open -3 at +101. They're now -3 at +109. So we've had to move towards the Rams at this number. From a total perspective, opened up at 42.5, and it bounced up to it got down to 41.5 this morning at 11:14 a.m. It's now at 43, so there's been buyback on the total here. And Papa Kyle says Seattle seems like a very public dog, and we all know how they handle things. There's Tasha. Welcome, Tasha. Great to see you. Dennis Garcia says, I want to so badly bet Tampa Bay, but what on earth have they done to lay 3 to anyone? Mac Beaver talking about the Barrett out for the season. I mean, that hurts them so bad. We'll talk about that. Let's see where the cash is in this one. 5,384 tickets in. You have 51% of the tickets, 76% of cash on the Buccaneers. 69% of tickets, 96% cash on the under. I was like so confident in the Bucks last week on the Thursday against the Ravens. Like I was driving down to a poker game with a friend, and he had the game on his phone. And I was like so confident in my action, and of course they completely fell apart. But let's start with the Rams. They coming off an ugly 31-14 home loss to the Niners. They've now lost 8 straight regular season games to the Niners. With the game on the line, Rams had 58 yards of offense in the second half. Matt Stafford, 22 of 33, 187 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp caught 8 passes for 79 yards and a touchdown, and then he hurt his right ankle with 1 minute and 2 seconds to play. Sean McVay said today that avoided structural damage to his right ankle, and he will play on Sunday against the Buccaneers, and he's good to go. Allen Robinson caught 5 passes for 54 yards. The Rams could get nothing out of their run game. 21 carries for 56 yards. This offense is now 31st in the NFL in yards per play. I mean, isn't that just shocking? 4.8 yards per play.
Stunning.
It's unbelievable. They're 28th in quarterback sack percentage. So Stafford has been sacked on 8.45% of his dropbacks. It's unbelievable. Defense did not look good. 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Bucks come in off extra rest and prep after losing their 3rd straight game, 27-22 at home to Baltimore. I have a vividness bias, and I think a lot of us do, that this is a good football team. For whatever reason, I don't have that same bias with the Rams, and I should, but I have a thicker bias that the Buccaneers are a really good football team. They've now lost 5 of 6. Brady was 26 of 44 for 325 yards and a touchdown. Evans caught 6 passes for 123. Godwin 6 for 75. They got nothing out of their running game. 15 carries, 44 yards. Couldn't get stops when the game was on the line. When they started out the year, we talked about how good this defense was. They have not had a takeaway for 4 straight games. And they're dealing with heavy injuries. So there were 3 starters in the secondary that were out. Antoine Winfield with the concussion. I expect him to be back, but it's hard to have any expectations when you deal with head injuries. Carlton Davis, another cornerback, and Antoine Winfield safety, and then Sean Murphy-Bunting quad. Akeem Hicks inactive with the foot. Cameron Brayton, Russell Gage inactive, and then Shaquille Barrett, torn Achilles, gone for the season. Take it away here, Andy. Can you shed some light on 2 teams that we thought were really good football teams when the season started?
Yeah, and this was something that we hit on. Drew and I were really kind of down on the Rams preseason 2 years ago. Said this team is fragile, meaning just kind of lack of depth. The stars and scrubs. He said they have a lot of really good players, but they lack the depth because of how they've constructed this roster. A couple injuries. It's like, it's a house of cards. A couple injuries away from being, a shitty team, a bad team, a team that can't make anything happen. And it didn't happen. They went, they went and did what they did. It was surprising, I guess, but it was kind of the other end of the spectrum. If they don't get hurt and they add a couple pieces, it's a very, very good team. So kind of finally starting to see that. The Rams have had some injury attrition on the offensive line, and it's kind of Kupp and nobody right now. They're not getting anything out of the run game. That said, the Tampa Bay defense is taking some steps back, and now they have another bad injury in Shaq Barrett. So get right spot for a bad Rams offense here. Maybe I see some steam towards taking the 3 points here. That's the only way I could go, is if I get a reasonable 3 on the Rams, I would bet it. But I've watched so many Rams games where their offense just looks so horrid. And not only that, but the play calling, the play sequencing, like just using runs on early downs with running backs that don't do anything on any downs. It's just sickening enough for me to not want to take this dog. So, yeah, I'm neither team. I'm cheering for the Comet here.
Wow. So 2.5, ton of 2.5s on the board. There's still a 3 at -115 at Bet365 available right now.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you look at this one and have a hard lean right off the bat?
No, I know what's happening here.
Do you know what this total was when they played last year?
Oh my goodness. What was it?
Like 55.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was 42 and a half. What a fall from grace for this offense is. Just, this is not even a game I want to watch. These teams are going to miss the playoffs. Like, the only benefit that these teams have right now is that one of them probably wins the game. I say probably because a tie is not out of the realm of possibilities, but like one team's going to improve their playoff chances here, hopefully.
I just know that I have this thing going on with the Buccaneers. And I was so confident in them against the Ravens. And they looked so bad in the second half.
Yeah.
So I don't have a.
Yeah, I was high on the Bucs. I have Bucs futures. I have Bucs to win the goddamn Super Bowl. It ain't happening, guys. So even if they start to get healthy, we've had some injuries that are season long. I don't think they have the juice to do it. So I'm in my head. I'm in my head a little on the Tampa Bay Bucs. I'm kind of just avoiding these games. Plus, I just want to bet the Rams at this price.
And look at Birdie's all over it. He says he's all over the Rams. He's Rams +3 Rams, money line Rams, first half money line. He said, I said a few weeks ago that Tampa Bay are 2 defensive injuries from being absolutely toast. Barrett is a huge loss for them. Wow. Yeah, there's Sharon in the house. Great to see you, Sharon. It's just it's fascinating what's happened to these two football teams. But in saying all that, if the Buccaneers win their division, which is likely, they'll be a tricky team to go in. It'll be a tricky playoff game.
Yeah, this is a team that still more than likely can host a playoff game. Just wild.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, no action for us in Rams Buccaneers. Let's move on to the Sunday nighter, which we will be live betting right here on Pub Sports Radio. Tennessee Titans 5-2, 3-1 on the road at the Kansas City Chiefs 5-2, 2-1 at home at Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. 58 Fahrenheit, clear, 5 miles per hour is the wind. Let's take a look at this line history. Opens up with the Chiefs -11.5 at -102. That -11.5 got up to -117 this morning. It's now at -110. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 46.5, -107 to the under. It's now -111 to the under, so a 4-cent move to the under. And Gerald Jones says New Orleans might win the South. Yeah. They could easily. I like what their offense is doing, and I look forward to talk about that because that is the Monday nighter, and that's a hell of a game we get to talk about. But let's talk about this Sunday nighter. 7,376 tickets in, 63% of the tickets, and 75% of the cash on the Chiefs. So the Chiefs have the big bets and the sharp action. 69% of the tickets, 72% of cash on the over. Dennis Garcia took Nola to win the division at +900 a week ago. Not hating it. No, that's a beautiful spot to be in. Birdie is on the Titans +11 and the under 48.5. Titans come in off their 5th straight win, 17-10 at Houston. Malik Willis was in for Tannehill, who's dealing with an ankle injury. I tried to get information on whether Tannehill would be back. I guess we'll find out tomorrow at practice. Willis was 6 of 10 for 55 yards and a pick, but the Titans put up 314 yards on the ground. Derrick Henry continued his domination of the Texans. It's unbelievable. 32 carries for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sharpie had Henry to go 200 plus and 2 touchdowns at 9-1. It was Henry's 4th straight 200-yard game against the Texans. He's the first player in NFL history to have at least 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground in 4 straight games against the same opponent. It was also his 6th 200-yard game. That ties him with O.J. Simpson and Adrian Peterson for the most in NFL history. 4 straight 100-yard games rushing this year. Dontrell Hilliard came in and ran 8 times for 83 yards. The defense held the Texans to just 161 total yards. Texans were 2 of 14 on third down, 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. Fulton had an interception. Vrabel wouldn't give a Tannehill update until after tomorrow's practice. And that was the first game Tannehill had missed since week 7 of 2019. Malik Willis, though, is approaching the week as if he's starting, which he should. Amani Hooker hurt his shoulder in the first quarter, didn't return. He's questionable to go this week. The Titans are very good defensively on third down. They're by far the best in the league right now. Opponents are converting 25.58% of third downs. Very impressive. The Chiefs coming off their bye week. We all know the stats here. I'll give a couple of them. Reed is 20-3 after the bye week. 86.9% winning percentage. At home, he's 12-1. Now, that's just straight up, obviously. 92.3% winning percentage. But in 7 matches against Tennessee since 2013, the Chiefs are 2-5, which is a wild stat. These Chiefs were last seen in a dominant 44-23 win at San Francisco. Excellent on both sides of the ball. Mahomes, 25-34 for 423 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick, got 5 sacks, also 8 quarterback hits from the defense. And so, I was trying to dive in a little bit more on how good this Chiefs team is and where are their weaknesses. And you touched earlier on the show when we talked about the trade with the Falcons that their rookie cornerbacks have been better than we expected. Trent McDuffie got hurt in week 1. Rashad Fenton got hurt, I believe, in week 5. And so Joshua Williams, the 4th rounder, and the 7th rounder, Jalen Watson, had to be starters earlier than Andy Reid wanted them to. And they've been good. So I was like, where are they bad anywhere? And the offensive line is not being good. The Chiefs have given up 85 pressures within 2.5 seconds of the snap. That's the 4th most in the league. Orlando Brown Jr. and Andrew Wiley could be considered the worst starting tackle duo in football. So you do have a weakness there, but this is a really good football team, and they're big favorites here. What's your plan for the Sunday nighter, Andy? Titans, Chiefs.
Kansas City's kind of put it on a couple teams, but they put it on a couple teams that have defenses that they match up great against and are able to put it on them. Tennessee's defense kind of coming around. The pass rush has been better, and the numbers are a little skewed for Kansas City as far as how their run defense is. They were effective early in the season, but they're effective against some teams that didn't run the ball well. The Cardinals, the first week, were in a negative game script, didn't end up running that much at all. The Chargers haven't run good against anyone, not named the Browns, really. And the Colts, we've had some injuries early in the season. They were, forced to actually, they did run 24 times against the Chiefs. That's surprising. The Buccaneers, anyone can guess how many attempts they had against the Bucs, would surprise me, but it was 6 rushing attempts for 3 yards. I don't even know if that's right. Might have to double check that. But over the last 3 weeks against the Raiders, Bills, and 49ers, they're giving up almost 6 yards per carry on average on the ground. And the Bills don't even really like to run the ball, guys. So it's not good what I'm seeing from this Kansas City defense on the ground going up this week against Derrick Henry. That's got to be the game plan. I really don't think Tannehill plays. I think the line movement kind of indicates that Tannehill is unlikely to go. And I think it is just, hey, let's try short stuff. Let's run our quarterback. Let's lean on Henry. And let's try to, if we can get 4 or 5 yards to carry with Henry, we can move the ball and we can score. I'm really tempted to take the points here. I don't think anybody, and yes, the Titans are very overrated. Their record shouldn't be this good. I don't think they're one of the best 5-6 teams in the league. There's no chance. And obviously they're starting a backup quarterback, but right now Kansas City against even competent defenses is not a team that should be laying this many points against a good run game. And if you want to stack the box against Henry and try to stop that, maybe they don't have the answer for that. Maybe we don't see, I guess that would be my game plan all week, is trying to figure out, like, if they come up and just try to take Derrick Henry out of the game, how are we going to beat that with screens? How are we going to beat that with draws, with a lot of play action, with some extended handoffs, with some bubble screens, just easy stuff with a young quarterback? I don't know. This is this feels like a close game that's never, you know what I mean by a close game that's never close? Like, Tennessee's never outside the number, but you never believe that Tennessee has a chance to win the game, nor do they ever lead.
And you have Frank Clark suspended.
Yeah.
How do you think that plays in?
What is it? Is it just 2 games for the personal conduct thing? Yeah, that doesn't help. When he missed games in previous, I think last year, this defense looked quite a bit different. So, yeah, I think this is a one of those games that nobody pays attention to, and the Titans just lose by 10.
Huh. Interesting.
And Birdie has it. Yeah, Henry runs against stack boxes every week. Everyone's trying to stop. People have heard of him.
So what do you think of this total here? This total opened up at 46.5, sitting there right now.
Yeah, not much action on that, and that makes sense. I think that's a pretty good number. Kansas City's not going to go out and try to put up the fireworks like they did against the Niners, or the Cardinals just asked for it by blitzing like 80% of the time. What are you going to do? Blitz Mahomes and expect everyone to cover everyone on an island? Have fun with that. But they have a decent matchup on defense. Not decent enough to keep them in the damn game, but I think let's just put me down for a Titans bet. Let's see what my best number is here. Well, you're just gonna log me out, bookmaker? Is that what we're doing?
Let's see what we can get you. Interesting.
Live bet baseball.
Wow.
We got baseball in action. We gotta wrap it up, Jimmy. There's sports to watch.
It's moved to 13.
Yeah, give me that.
13 at minus 115 at Bovada. Wow.
Let's see what I'm interested to see what Chris has this at. 13 minus 120. I don't want to pay that much.
Wow.
There's not a big difference between a lot of these numbers. So yeah, just whatever you think the best price is. I want to play a 12 minus 111 here.
Plus 13 minus 115 available for record-keeping purposes here. All right, that is the Sunday nighter. Titans plus 13 and minus 115 for Andy. I'm going to need more time on this spot. We'll be live betting it right here on Pub Sports Radio. Let's move on to the Monday nighter, the final game on the card, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Baltimore Ravens. This one's going to be really fun. Baltimore Ravens 5-3, 3-1 on the road at New Orleans Saints, 3-5, 2-3 at home. We're at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. We will start with the line history here. Here we go. We have the Ravens opening up at plus 3.5 at plus 101. The 3.5 is now a 3, sort of. I mean, it's at plus 108. So it's basically still a 3.5. From a totals perspective, we open up at 48.5, minus 105 to the under. It's now minus 108 to the under. Let's go over to the cash flow in this one. There is line value, according to Sports Insights, on the New Orleans Saints. It's the same number that they're giving the Chargers. That's the most line value that they have on the card. 4,476 tickets in. 53% of the tickets, 53% of cash on the Ravens. 74% of the tickets, 96% of cash on the under. Ravens made big news today with their acquisition of Roquan Smith from the Bears for a 2nd and 5th round pick. Coming in on an impressive 27-22 win at Tampa Bay. It's their first 2-game winning streak of the season. Baltimore scored on its first 4 possessions after halftime. They completely took over the game. Lamar Jackson, 27-38 for 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran 9 times for 43 yards. They dominated the game on the ground. 33 carries for 231 yards. Gus Edwards ran 11 times for 65 yards, and Kenyon Drake ran 7 for 62. The Ravens averaged 7 yards per carry, and topped 150 yards rushing for the 7th straight game. That's the longest active streak in the NFL. Isaiah Likely caught 6 for 77. Demarcus Robinson caught 6 for 64. The defense was strong throughout. 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. They didn't have Calais Campbell and were strong throughout. He was sick. He should be back here. A Mark Andrews shoulder injury left in the second quarter and did not return. He's going to be day-to-day or questionable. It looks like every game for a while, unless they sit him. Rashad Bateman has a foot injury, and he's going to be out for a few weeks. Gus Edwards left in the fourth quarter with a hamstring injury, but he is fine, supposedly, and good to go. Saints coming off their most impressive win of the season, 24-0 at home over the Raiders. Dalton, 22-30 for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. His 5th straight start despite Winston being recovered enough from the back and ankle injuries to be a full participant in practice. Kamara caught 9 passes for 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran 18 times for 62 yards and touchdown. Taysom Hill, 10 carries for 61 yards. Olave caught 5 for 52. This offense is good, and they can give you so many different looks. They're a very tricky offense to defend. They rank 5th in yards per play. The defense was dominant. They didn't allow the Raiders to get over midfield until 2 minutes left in the game. They held Devontae Adams to a catch for 3 yards. Maybe he was sick. They finished with 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, and the Honey Badger had an interception. Peyton Turner played for the first time in 4 weeks, and he had 2 sacks, a second-year defensive end. They came in with that NFL worst turnover differential, -10. They didn't turn the ball over. And Mark Ingram has a sprained knee. He's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks with that injury. This is the Monday Nighter, Andy. Ravens, Saints, take it away.
The Saints have been an odd team for me, haven't they? They just lose players, and doesn't matter. Offense team still hums along. Just ragtag team of whatever, almost beat the Vikings, should have beat the Vikings in London, have looked good in certain spots. And Olave, I don't know, who's your favorite rookie wide receiver right now? Like Pickens had a really cool catch, and I know it was until we had the injury down in Tennessee, he was fun, but it might be Olave for me. Olave has been a really fun addition to this team. If this team gets healthy, like someone mentioned in the chat, it's basically anyone not named Carolina can win this division. It's a garbage division, and you're not out of it, despite the record for the New Orleans Saints. So Baltimore with the extra rest and a big coaching advantage. I guess this is the mini maxi buy where you go from a Thursday night to a Monday night where you get the bonus extra super rested, almost a bye, with a very accomplished, smart, veteran coach and coaching staff. Probably a spot for them, but man, I'm not in the business of fading this New Orleans offense right now. We'll see how some of these additions to the Ravens work out. It seems like 4 or 5 teams in the AFC are going in on this season. I'm very excited for the AFC playoffs, but not super excited to bet this game. These numbers are real close to where I'd have everything.
I think that there's a lot of truth to what Birdie's saying. Sun Dizzle backing it up. Saints are his team. Birdie's saying, my personal opinion on this game is the Saints are going to get wrecked. Says people love the Saints. They play 4 bad games and 1 good one, and then they take money every time. He says Ravens are going to hammer them. I don't know if they're going to hammer them, but this Ravens team is going to be very dangerous here on out.
They're hard to defend. It's a very hard team to defend because they do a few different things well, and then Lamar Jackson sometimes just goes full Lamar. So,
why wouldn't I take the 3 points here? I don't.
I hate backing teams against a team that's I don't understand why the offense just keeps clicking, because offense is what matters. What's this line at Chris right now? Yeah, just road favorite like this in a weird non-conference game and a standalone spot. Not a fun one for me. I make this Ravens -3, so no real value for me. Well, yeah, and yes, the Ravens are a better team. The Ravens are, probably 5 or 6 points better than New Orleans on a neutral. That's about where the line is. So I'm fine with this price. I think it's really a well set price, and I'm not getting involved with. I will bet first touchdown scorers. I will bet the second half, but I won't be on this one pregame unless something violently changes.
Well, there's a big move towards the Saints here. We see 2.5s on the board now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no rush to back the Ravens. No rush at all to back the Ravens here. But this one's going to be really, really fun. Also, it's completely split, tickets and cash. 53% of the tickets, 53% of the cash. I mean, what do you think of this total? I mean, sitting at 48 at Bet365, over at Pinnacle, it opened at 48.5, and that's where it is right now. But it's dropped a half point over at Bet365. What do you think?
Maybe could be talked into an over, but everything about this line looks pretty well set to me. I'm fine with this, and it's a New Orleans Saints team that I don't quite understand, but they're playing well under a coordinator that was promoted from the other side of the ball. The offense is playing great. Lattimore hurt maybe makes a big difference. Maybe we do see this Ravens passing offense really start to click against someone, but I mean, this is a weird-ass team that just shut out the goddamn Raiders.
I guess there's no rush to move on the Ravens here.
Yeah, so I think you'll have time, even if you have to get a 3. Like, you've got plenty of time.
Well, they're offering me a 3 at plus 100, but look, bookmaker at 2.5. I mean, that 2.5 is juiced to minus 119, but I see more 2.5s coming. If you want, see, I can't take the Ravens at plus 100 minus 3 if Pinnacle's hanging a plus 108 on that. So, very interesting. This is our Monday nighter here. I think the Ravens are. I mean, how good are the Baltimore Ravens? How dangerous are they? I mean, like, is it time where you might want to get involved with them in the futures market?
They're such a mess. So, Buffalo's the best. Kansas City and the Chiefs are right there. And then it's a mess from 4 to 12. Baltimore, and these are in no particular order, guys. Don't get mad at me if I list a team too high or too low, but Baltimore, Minnesota, Dallas, San Francisco, Seattle, Miami, even the Saints. I mean, the Titans, just because of the wins that they have, there's not a big difference between the next 10 to 12 teams. It's hard to differentiate an elite team if you're not one of those top 3s. There's just a really big chunk of teams that are so close together. The distribution curve is terribly flat this year, it's kind of skewed. Skewed to the, I don't know, that section of teams that are 4 through 15. It's odd. It's an odd year to try to pick out some of these games between above average teams because they're so close. So I have the Saints a little lower, especially with the Lattimore injury, but this number's kind of on for me.
Well, I'm certainly in no rush. So if the Ravens get down to 2.5 with no extra vig, I'd like to be on them, and I expect to be on them. And I can't wait to
field goal. There's a couple good kickers.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I look forward to betting this live. All right, that is our Week 9 breakdown here. Let's review all action. The Thursday nighter, no move right now for either Andy or I. Chargers, Falcons, we stayed off. I'd expected to move on it, but we've stayed off. The over in Miami, Chicago, I want in. You didn't make that official.
Yeah, I did.
Did you
play it? I played it. I mean, I literally I bet that on Sunday. So let's call that official because I bet it.
Over 45 and minus 110 for Andy. I'm going to come in. I'm going to bet that as well. Andy, over 45 at minus 110 in Dolphins Bears. Andy, you're on the Panthers plus 7.5 at minus 106. Packers, Lions, we have stayed off. I'm moving on the Colts plus 5.5 and the under 39.5 in Colts, Patriots. I may move on the under 47 in Bills, Jets. I just need a little bit more time, but I'm certainly leaning towards there. Excuse me, Andy, you moved on the over 43 in Vikings Commanders. I'm moving on the Commanders at +3.5. If I think I could get a 4, I might wait. I might wait 12 hours or something like that. 12 hours, something like that. Then we have the Raiders. I'm moving on. Seahawks, Cardinals, no action. Rams, Bucks, no action. Andy's on the Titans +13 at -115. And that's our Sunday nighter. And then I want the Ravens, but we'll wait patiently for the 2.5. There you have it. That is our breakdown. Andy coming off a second consecutive winning week. You are sniffing the black here on official picks on the show. And I had a nice big 7-3 +3.65 unit week. Gathering momentum, gathering confidence. Let's finish strong here. Shout out to all the cappers joining us. Terry Walker, Leo Said It, Sun Dizzle, Mac Beavers, Danny Lopez, Birdie, Big Show, Astute Chaos, Ron Crawford, Real Deal Prime, Papa Kyles. Thank you guys all so much for supporting, and your insights are wonderful. They're so helpful for us all. Gerald Jones, Fireside, Mac Beavers, Dennis Garcia. Thank you guys. Thank you. Sharon. Thank you. Andy, you can catch Andy over at BetSperts, and he's also he also stars in the Deep Dive podcast alongside the Whale Capper. Andy, any last words before we put a bow on this?
Oh, shout out to the one guy in the chat. I don't remember because there's so many of you that constantly are yakking in there, but somebody had Philly first 5. You win, sir or madam. Good job. The first 5 innings are now over. 7-zip.
Wow.
Phillies. All on Yabos. I believe every run was scored off a home run. And McCullers got chased a little earlier than probably Houston had hoped. So congrats to that person who had the first 5 Phillies, or first 5 over. Or God, the over. I mean, I think the total was only 8. Getting awful close to that too, and I just jinxed it. I'm sorry about that. Hope you win all your bets in the NFL this week.
Yeah, let's stay hot.
Oh, Sun Dizzle had it. I was hoping they'd come and they'd rear their head.
Let's stay hot here. Let's stay hot here on the show. Thank you to our producer here, Jose Bouquet, who does such a great job. On behalf of all of us here at Pub Sports Radio, thank you for supporting the show. Let's stay hot. Another winning week in our future. Let's go out there and get that cash.